Airbnb is a lot of work. It's good rate of return, but it's work. The people who jumped into the short-term rental industry and they thought it was going to be easy money. Anytime anybody thinks anything's going to be easy money, you need to be careful with that. You need to be aware of what you're jumping into.
I would like to introduce you guys to one of my dear friends, Brendie Heter. She is a mom, a wife, and as my dad called her, a wizard. She has many gifts, so many gifts, but we're just gonna have a conversation talking about some of those things, talking about real estate, talking about parenting, and wherever this might go. But I feel like you will gather some valuable information from Bren, and I'm just so thankful she's here. So Bren, would you like to introduce yourself, tell a little bit about yourself?
So I'm a mother of 4. I have 4 children, currently 11, 8, 7, and 3. I work from home part-time as various consulting jobs, as well as I teach personal finance and organizational skills to 7th graders. So awesome. It's basically impossible, but I do my best.
You do a great job, I've heard.
So yeah, so thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to take some time to talk about a few of those things. I want to kind of dive into, I would love to talk about each one. But Bren, what's something you would like to share regarding rentals in general? Brendie has an Airbnb that has been amazing. Well, I'll just let you kind of tell us.
So we started the Airbnb journey, probably 8 years ago, 9 years ago. We started just in our room as trying to make more ends meet in Southern California, which gets very difficult. And we had an empty room and it wasn't our house, and we decided we'll just see how it goes. And my husband said, okay, if we can at least make $200 a month, then it would be worth it. And our very first month we made $700. So it really helped. It got harder as the kids got older. So we decided to build onto our house a tiny home in the RV space that was in our property. So we built on a 300 square foot, beautiful tiny home. And now we have that booked year round. And it's been a great, great resource for our family.
That's awesome. Yes, it's so adorable too. I love how she decorated and it's really...
Clarification, I did not decorate. Chic Retreat at One Chic Retreat on the Instagram. They decorated, because that's the cool thing about where I am right now. I know really what I'm good at and I know what I'm not good at. So that was something I third-partied out, and it's been great because they were wonderful to work with.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is so important to know too. You know, work in the areas that you're gifted in, and where you're not, delegate that stuff. I know my husband always laughs at me because I'm like, yeah, I don't really like that. I'm gonna go ahead and give it to someone else. And usually he's the someone else. So, but yes, that's so wise. Yeah. Regarding your new journey kind of into tapping in, asking questions about midterm rentals, I'd love to hear kind of where you came from short-term and then now considering midterm.
Yeah, so technically right now we have a full-time rental that we do on Airbnb, and we are in the very beginning stages of looking into midterm rentals. And the reason is that obviously as cost of living increases, as inflation encroaches onto our daily life, even though I teach personal finance, there's only so much you can budget, and we're finding it harder to make ends meet again. And so we want to do something different. And so we're looking into midterm rentals. We're very familiar with the short-term rental industry. I've helped many people start their Airbnb or Vrbo journey, but we're looking into midterm because we want a longer game plan for our kids and for our free time during the day. We would like to spend more time with our kids and each other as spouses and less time hustling. So we love hustling, we're good at it, but we don't want it to be all consuming. So we're looking for a way to release some of that tension and to investigate something else.
That's awesome. So as you know, that's what we teach people to do. We teach people how to start their own midterm rental and house families who've been displaced. And so knowing all of that, I know you kind of tapped into my asking me a bunch of questions. So I'd love to hear just kind of what you've gathered along the way and kind of where you and Noah are headed in the future.
So we're looking at various locations all over the country, and the exciting part is we can do this anywhere. But we're also looking to see where we can be the greatest good, not just for our family, but for other families.
Absolutely.
And trying to talk with people who are in the industry now, but also we've been talking with our kids about these investments and how these investments will hopefully be a blessing for them in the future. So we're trying to make this a family affair, but it's a lot to learn, and it can be overwhelming. So I'm grateful for the resource that you guys are putting out there for us to don't feel like you have to do it all on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. And you do need people kind of helping you along the way and keeping you on track and kind of giving advice of where you're at. But let's backtrack back to your family and what you've been doing to teach your kids about finance and not only your students, but your own children. Yeah. I am always just like blown away by how you have everything really thought through and lined up well, and you're implementing it. You're not just like, I have all these great ideas, but then actually implementing them, I'm great for a week. And then it's like 2 weeks later, the kids are like, well, Mom, what about the money that you said?
Sure.
I'm like, yeah, I'll get it.
Sure.
But anyways, you're amazing at it. So I love you to share.
Well, it is hard, and it gets harder as they go through different seasons. So like I mentioned, I teach personal finance to 7th graders at a private school, and they love the information. The parents love the information. The district loves the information. It might actually be the only thing people agree on is that personal finance should be taught to children.
Absolutely.
A lot of the pain as adults we experience is because somebody in our life mismanaged money, and it might have been you. So that's helping people avoid that financial trauma is something that brings us a lot of joy as a family to help people avoid that. Now, in terms of our kids, it's a balance, because you don't want to be always talking about money and giving kids a complex and making them either worried about it or worship it or be obsessed with it. But having the gentle conversations about how much it costs for groceries, and then how much it costs to go get pizza after that soccer game. Those things they remember, and they process it in different ways. So because I have 4 kids, the 3-year-old doesn't quite understand yet, but my 3 older boys, they all process things so different. And as a parent, you know how to help them in various ways. Money is the same thing. They each are going to spend it different. They're going to save it different. I would say the hardest part is letting them make mistakes with money. Watching them blow it all at an arcade. And then the next day when we go somewhere, they don't have any money and they're brokenhearted.
Right.
But they need to feel that. Sure. And so it is hard. We go through seasons where we're not as good about, giving them their commission. And that's what we call it. By the way, we don't call it allowance. We call it commission. They get bonuses. And so when they work really hard or they do something above and beyond, they get recognized and they get a bonus. And having those simple conversations, that's how real life is. When you work in an organization and everybody does really well, company-wide bonuses happen.
Absolutely.
If you're not working together and then nothing gets done, bonuses aren't distributed that week. And we're not talking about it's $1. Right. Like it's $1, but they earned it, and they value that dollar more than if it was just handed to them. So
yeah, that's so awesome. Well, I love that you're proactive in teaching them this stuff, because it is things, you're right, that we may not have learned growing up.
Right.
And now I feel like I'm even looking at money in a completely different way, being raised of, not having a ton and then making ends meet and then making it work. And then not even being able to have that abundance mindset of like, there's a lot of money that we can actually make. It's not just like working a 9 to 5, hustling, working really hard, and then putting into retirement that may or may not
be there
when we retire. And so I know for us, like, we have loved taking risks and like jumping in to the insurance midterm rental industry and kind of putting all of our eggs in one basket, going for it. And it's been profitable. And so it's exciting to kind of see that. And it's exciting. I'm excited for you to hop into this too, because of the things you said, like the time freedom where you actually get to be with your kids more. Well, tell me a little bit about Airbnb, how much you're actually working.
It's a lot of work. And I think that the people who jumped into the short-term rental industry and they thought it was going to be easy money. Anytime anybody thinks anything's going to be easy money, you need to be careful with that.
Totally.
You need to be aware of what you're jumping into. And Airbnb is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's good rate of return, but it's work. And so you can't just let it slide. You've got to stay on it. You have to make sure that you're doing the best for your guests. And I think that there's people also in the short-term rental industry that actively work to make your job harder, whether it's guests or hosts, because you have hosts that are terrible and they have no business opening up their home to people, and they make everybody look bad. So you have to almost work twice as hard to make sure that people feel safe. And so that's my mind shift, is that sometimes guests are difficult because they've been burned by somebody else. So they might just be difficult, but typically they're difficult because they are protecting themselves because they think that somebody's gonna mess with them. So if I can go out of my way and try to make them feel safe and welcomed, then it shifts the conversation against another host. But we're not anti short-term rental. We're just trying to investigate something else so that it can give us even more leverage to have a little bit more free time. And we don't have a lot of free time with 4 children. So we're hoping, we want to make memories. We want to travel while they're little. And I'm working so hard to make sure that I'm not wasting these years that I have with them.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, you can't get back that time. So I know why Jason and I love this, because we're not working all the time anymore. We have our phones with us, and usually we can answer something quickly and then move right back on to what we're doing. And so it's been amazing. And I mean, there are times, where things come up where the air conditioning goes out and you have to figure out how to put them in a hotel, but we try to be proactive, and I think through all of those things, and where would I put them up in this city if this happened? And so I have the numbers of the places that are pet friendly that can host
Once
them.
you have your system.
And exactly. And so yes, you're right. It's not all of this is super easy, but I feel like with midterm rentals for us, it's been getting your systems and processes in place that allows you a lot more the ability.
Well, I think you're supposed to be asking me a question. How about I ask you a question? But isn't that the entire point of your model, is that you've done the work in advance so that we can jump in and not work? We would still be working our business, but that's why I'm attracted to this model, is that I don't have a lot of time to do all the research and to make sure that I'm doing it right for these families who are already in a traumatic situation. I want to be ready to serve them and not be unprepared. So, I mean, isn't that the whole point of what you guys are doing, is that making it easy for us who want to follow behind you?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And kind of just teaching you, showing you how to do it, and then keeping you being there with you along the way of, this is what we did, this is what worked for us. Now, that doesn't mean that's the only way to do things. Obviously, there's all kinds of ways you could do it. And the beauty is it's your own business, so you can run it however you want. But we can tell you what's worked and not worked. And
what are the best practices?
Yeah, that is definitely helpful and valuable. And so that's why we're kind of here along the way and sharing what we've experienced. And it's been a great ride, and so that's why we're doing this. We're just ready to share it with everyone.
I'm excited.
So, thank you so much for coming on today, Bren.
You got it.
And it's awesome.